What's going on YouTube? It's Mike here. Today guys, in this video we're going to be comparing the iPhone 6 versus the iPhone 6 Plus and which one you should buy. So as you guys know, on Friday Apple released the two new iPhones, the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, both the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. One I have here, well, they're both in gold. They're both on the AT&T carrier. The 6 is the 16 gigabyte size option, and the 6 Plus is my daily driver, which is a 64 gig version. Now, right off the bat, I have to say these are the most beautiful iPhones that Apple has ever made. And you'd probably think that I'd say that with any new iPhone release, but seriously, I mean, this is the nicest iPhone release that Apple has ever had, to tell you the truth. Just a beautiful design, really beautiful slim profile. It matches mock-ups that we've seen for months, but even though it does, I mean, Apple made an even nicer product all in all at the very end, and I'm really pleased with both phones so far, even though, I choose the bigger one, the 6 Plus as my daily driver just because I want to have a bigger phone. Even the 6 is still a fantastic phone. And so today in this video I'm going to be going over both models. I'm going to be talking about their specs and what they have to offer that differentiates from both of them, and some similarities as well. Hopefully that'll give you a better mindset and kind of opinion and idea when it comes to you either buying the iPhone 6 or iPhone 6 Plus. So let's get started. I guess the best way to start is at price and capacity. Now the 16 gigabyte iPhone 6 starts at $199 and it goes up from there, which is the next level up is a 64 gig option. Apple's actually pulled the 32 gig option on both the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. So for an extra $100 you go all the way to 64 gigs, and for $399 on the iPhone 6 you go all the way up to 128 gigs, just like the iPads, which is really cool. And over on the iPhone 6 Plus it's actually $100 more than the iPhone 6 model, so the 16 gig starts at $299. I went with the 64 gig in this case for $399, and the 128 gig goes for $499. Again, that is on contracts with either AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, or T-Mobile, and then obviously T-Mobile you can change and get them unlocked or SIM-free if you wanted to just completely differentiate. Now, both models come in the gold, space gray, and silver options, the same as we saw last year on the iPhone 5S, and like I said, I have chosen the gold models for both phones here. Now let's talk about displays. Now Apple did something very different this year. They did introduce two iPhones just like last year, however they are offering two screen sizes. Now the iPhone 6 has a beautiful 4.7-inch Retina HD display, Retina HD in contrast to Retina, which is available on previous models, starting of course with the iPhone 4 introduction in 2010, and the iPhone 6 Plus features a 5.5-inch Retina HD display. The 4.7-inch display has a resolution of 1334 by 750, and the 5.5-inch has a resolution of 1920 by 1080, which is really nice. You're going to have a full 1080p display on the iPhone 6 Plus, which is a plus as well for the 6 Plus. You're going to have much nicer video quality and really anything quality when it comes to viewing on the iPhone 6 Plus in contrast to what you'd have on the iPhone 6. Now in terms of how thin these guys are, the 6 comes in at 6.9 millimeters thick, and the 6 Plus comes in at 7.1 millimeters thick. And in contrast, both of them are still thinner than the iPhone 5S, believe it or not. Now both feature 64-bit architecture with an A8/M8 coprocessor. A8, of course, the Apple A8 processor, which has been bumped up from A7 that we had last year with the iPhone 5S, which is really nice to see. It's a much faster phone now, still clocked at 1 gig of RAM, which was kind of disappointing to see. I would hope that maybe Apple would put another gigabyte or two into it. Unfortunately, they didn't this time around, but that's okay. There's now slow-mo video recording with 240 frames per second. Slow-mo was present in the iPhone 5S release last year, however, it was capped at 120 frames per second. Now you have either two options. You can shoot in 120 frames per second or now 240 frames per second, exclusively on both iPhone 6 models. The new design of the iPhone 6 includes 20 LTE bands, which will also offer 3 times faster Wi-Fi. Now, one of my all-time favorite features of both the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus is Apple Pay. This is a sort of underrated feature, and I really think it's because Apple Pay won't be available until next month, October, when hopefully Apple has their next event to introduce both iPads, announce the public release of OS X Yosemite, and stuff like that. But I'm really looking forward to Apple Pay. Basically, in the top portions of both iPhone 6s here, they're Apple's own NFC technology is built in to use your credit or debit card through Passbook. If you notice, the new Passbook icon now has a credit card logo on the top of it. It's actually built in so that you can hook up your credit or debit card right through Passbook, and then if you go to select stores that have those special card readers where you just swipe your card over, or an NFC device, you will now be able to do that with your iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. This is limited to exclusively these iPhone 6 models. And another feature that they threw in on the iPhone 6 is called reachability, and this is both available on the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. And you can see I gently just double tapped. I didn't actually double tap. It was a capacitive touch. I double touched the iPhone 6's Touch ID sensors, and as you can see, that lowered the icons, and after a while brought them back up. Now this goes for almost any app, and what this does is it basically lowers the screen so it's easier to reach things in terms of icons, maybe typing or selecting things. And I haven't really noticed that being an issue on the 4.7-inch iPhone 6, but it's been a big issue for me on the 5.5-inch iPhone 6 Plus. Things are really hard to touch at the very top of the screen in some cases when I'm using one hand, which wasn't a problem on my iPhone 5S. And so I do see reachability being a very handy feature on the iPhone 6 Plus. But unlike me, some people have even smaller hands and they would need it on the iPhone 6. And as you know, guys, a lot of people have been lining up and trying their hardest to get the iPhone 6 on release day, and actually people are still lining up several days after release to do anything to get their hands on iPhone 6s. So basically, to the basic consumer that walks into a store, says, hey, I'd like an iPhone 6, you're most likely going to hear the two words sold out. And this is usually the case every year for iPhone releases, especially ones those are limited. The iPhone 6 was easier to get for me. They were in higher stock. They had more availability on release day. However, the 6 Plus sold out extremely quickly, and it is still sold out nationwide, I'm sure even worldwide, in many, many stores. I was talking to an AT&T representative yesterday at one of their separate stores, and they told me that they were on back order for 2 months. Apple says they're going to ship the iPhone 6 Pluses to those who order in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and it all depends, I guess, on your carrier, because Apple wants to ship to their customers first and then eventually get their phones out to the carriers. So all in all, the 6 Plus is going to be a hell of a lot harder to get than the iPhone 6. In my luck, I went ahead and pre-ordered the 6 Plus, which I originally wasn't going to do. Planned to get both at the store on launch day, and they sold out of the 6 Plus before I even got near to the front of the line. So I was really happy that I pre-ordered a week before Friday, September 12th. I was really lucky that Apple actually offered pre-orders this year, and I was lucky and I was able to get myself an iPhone 6 Plus on release day, which is insane in most cases. I know a ton of people that unfortunately weren't so lucky. But if you're an average consumer, this is going to be a bit difficult, either phone, to be quite honest with you, to get. The 6 Plus will be harder than the 6. That is if you want to get it right now. But if you give it a couple months, they should both be in full stock. So now you know all the information that Apple offers on their site and everything there is to know about the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus, but now I'm going to give my full opinions. And we're going to start first off with the iPhone 6. I'm not going to make this too long. So this is the iPhone 6 right here. Now this, again, is the 4.7-inch screen size. Now, to give my full honest opinion, this is the ideal iPhone right here. It's got a beautiful screen, first of all. The screen really has improved. The colors are a lot more vibrant. And so, you know, I was looking at the 4.7-inch and I was thinking, this really is the right size for an iPhone. It is lighter than the iPhone 5S. It is thinner than the iPhone 5S, and it's got a much nicer design than the iPhone 5S. And one thing I really like is this curved display. Not curved, but it's got these really smooth, rounded edges, unlike the flat diamond cut ones that we had on previous iPhone models, which I think started with the iPhone 4 and kind of went all the way to the iPhone 5S. That was the first thing that I really liked, and all around, I mean, the phone just has a simultaneous, really smooth finish, and it kind of just feels seamless once it hits the metal. Like, you don't even feel that seam. It's very rounded, and it just feels the 6 especially just feels really good in the hand. If you don't have big hands like me, I still don't think it's going to be a problem. I mean, I could cup this phone fully in my hand, and you can see I can pretty much reach any icon. It's not that hard. You know, overall, it's got a really good feel to it. And, you know, in terms of feel, and if, you know, you have smaller hands, this is probably going to be the phone to go with over the 6 Plus. You know, it won't bulge out of your pocket. It's not awkwardly big. It's just got the right design. I feel like this is the sweet spot for smartphones. This is, you know, the 4.7-inch screen with a really beautiful slim profile. When I first picked up the 6, I was just like, wow, this is the right size. this is the right screen size, this is the right design, this is the right feel. Apple hit the nail on the head. And so if you're the regular consumer that doesn't want to go crazy big with something like the iPhone 6 Plus, then this is definitely the phone for you. Now we move on to the iPhone 6 Plus. Now this is when we get into phablet territory. So we just went from a 4.7-inch screen on the iPhone 6, now we're at a 5.5-inch screen. You can obviously see the phone is much bigger. If I actually put the iPhone 6 on top of it, there you can see just how much bigger the 6 Plus is. It took me a few days to get used to it, and I'm still getting used to it as of today. And so far, I really do like it. I mean, there's so much more that's offered by a bigger screen, you wouldn't even know it. Like, the icons are just better spaced out. When it comes to apps that have been optimized for the iPhone 6 Plus's screen, they're really nice. However, the issue that I'm really having on the 6 Plus, first of all, is that all of these apps here, none of them have been optimized for the iPhone 6 Plus yet, which I'm actually very, very disappointed about. I kind of wish that Apple pushed the SDK for the iPhone 6 Plus and the iPhone 6 even out a little bit earlier so that more app developers would have a chance to fix their apps. Because not only are they stretched out, but they're just not sized right. Like, all the information bar at the top is just stretched out. It just doesn't look right. And while that is the case on the iPhone 6, that's an even worse case on the iPhone 6 Plus. Now, I could complain all day about this. It's not the worst feature, but I do wish that Apple, put a little more time into it. The other issue I'm really having is one-handing. Now, basically, what I mean by this is I cannot reach that top row up there, like camera or photos, or I cannot even stretch my thumb to get over to weather or messages. So I have to push the phone down a little bit and get to the Touch ID sensor to use that reachability feature that Apple's introduced, and then it's a little bit easier to access things. The only thing is I don't want to be doing this too much because it doesn't feel naturally right. Over time, I might get used to using that reachability feature, but it doesn't feel right. Like, I'd have to use both hands to navigate to anything, whereas on the iPhone 6 it's a little bit easier and I can use my thumb on pretty much anything. This is just a little bit hard, and if I'm all the way at the top accessing the top rows, I can't stretch my thumb to the bottom to access the bottom rows. So it's kind of hit or miss. I mean, there are people that have much bigger hands than me that I'm sure this isn't a problem for at all, and it's not, I was willing to make this my daily driver, the 5.5-inch. Now, one thing that I like about the 5.5-inch that the iPhone 6 doesn't have, so this is a 6 Plus advantage over the 6, is that when you actually turn the device over, you have a landscape springboard. And this has been available for a jailbreak tweak for as long as I can remember. I think the original tweak was named SB Rotator, and it never really worked, and we never really saw it come to life up until now. Which is really nice to finally see. You could virtually put it in any direction, and even like the iPad, you can hold the 6 Plus upside down, and you can have the Touch ID sensor on the top of the phone, and you can have the speaker on the bottom while you have the home screen completely rotated. It works just like the iPad and the iPad mini. And again, you can put the screen in any direction and it'll turn to what the direction is that you want. So you have my basic ideas and opinions on it. One more thing I wanted to go over is the design and all the features, buttons and ports and stuff like that. Some things Apple have changed and kind of left. If it's not broken, you shouldn't fix it. Steve Jobs always said that. And that's still the case, of course, on the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. It's running iOS 8. And they're still very similar to previous iPhones with the OSs. The apps still operate pretty much the same. Yeah, there was a UI overhaul last year, but if you've used an iPhone in the past, this isn't going to be any different. I've said this before. You already know how to use an iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, and that's always been Apple's mission, to make products easy to use. But things do differentiate when it comes to the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. And so we're going to go over some of the ports and buttons and stuff. And obviously we have a new rounded profile on the iPhone 6. On the side here, we have our recessed volume buttons, which is they're actually a lot easier to press than I thought they would be. The mute switch is kind of interesting. It's almost too thin for me. Too small. Like, I like the iPhone 5S's and 5's bigger mute switch. It was easier to access, especially when you have a case on this thing. It's almost impossible to access, which is kind of annoying to me. On the front, things got a little bit different. Obviously, we have two different and brand new screen sizes, but they moved the front camera to the left side versus the top, which is where the front camera originally was on the iPhone 4 and 4S. But if you remember, on the iPhone 5, they moved it to the top. A lot of people didn't complain about this, but this is also a complaint for me, as I feel like when the camera was at the top, it was more centered and it was easier to take front-facing pictures and stuff like that. On the bottom, we have our Touch ID sensor, which is also acts as the home button. And so we'll go to the side here, and as you can see, we have a new button on the side. Well, to you it might look like a new button, but it's actually the power button that you've known and loved forever. And so this does make sense, the power button on the side, because even, you definitely need that on the iPhone 6 Plus, but even on the iPhone 6, it is a pain to have to come up to here and reach on the top for a power button. So I do like that Apple put it on the side on both phones. And hey, to have a simultaneous design, you'd have to do that anyways. And then, of course, we also have the SIM card trays on the sides as well. And then on the back, we have this beautiful design that we've known about for months now. So it was interesting to see Apple do this with, the antenna bands sticking out as much as they do, which replaced both the two-tone glass paneling that they had on the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 5S. These antenna bands do jolt out a little. If you run your finger over it, you'll feel them be like, hey, that's weird. It feels like it's sticking out. In the case they do, they kind of feel plasticky. They have a weird feeling material, but they do jolt out a little, it feels like, and it doesn't feel exactly smooth. I guess it's not a huge deal. On the top, we have our camera lens, which does protrude, and we originally didn't think this was going to be that much of a problem. We actually didn't think Apple would do it, but if you know, it does stick out like the iPod Touch. And that really doesn't bother me. I've never really seen it to be a big deal. You know what? If the phone could be thinner, then I'm okay with that. I'd rather have a thinner phone. And hey, you know what? You're going to put a case on it anyways. The camera lens is more prone to scratching and maybe cracking or getting dirt on it. But that's what the sapphire cover's for, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. In the middle, of course, we have the microphone and the dual flash, and I'm happy they finally fixed the dual flash, and it's now rounded versus being that ugly pill size, which is something on the iPhone 5S that I absolutely hated. Then if you look on the bottom here, we have our 3.5mm headphone jack. The microphone port has been shortened down to just one hole. We have our lightning connector ports, and of course our speaker ports. So to sum things up, guys, the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, you're probably wondering which are you going to buy. Here's my final recap. You've heard everything about these phones. Both of them offer pretty much all in all the same exact things. Obviously the 6 Plus is a little better because it's bigger, it has a slightly better camera, it has a slightly bigger battery, and a slightly nicer display. However, you should only go for the 6 Plus if you want a bigger screen size. If you're the average consumer and you just want a upgrade from a previous phone you've been using, if it's a previous generation iPhone, you're not looking to spend a ton of cash, but you want the latest gadget, and you need an upgrade, and you don't need a huge phablet screen, you want it to fit in your pocket or purse or whatever the case may be, then the iPhone 6 4.7-inch screen size is right for you. It's really nice, it's lightweight, it's not huge like the 5.5-inch iPhone 6 Plus, and it'll just be ideal for you. Trust me, when you pick up the iPhone 6, you will love how it feels. Now, if you're a little more advanced and you want something bigger, you want something as big as maybe a Samsung Galaxy S5, or even bigger than that, like the Samsung Galaxy Note, is what I should say, and you want that phablet type thing that'll kind of jolt out of your pocket, but you'll have a really nice big display to present things and look at things a lot larger. It's like a whole new life you're stepping into. Then the iPhone 6 Plus 5.5 inches for you. Like I said, I'm using the 5.5 inch as my daily driver. That could change. I could switch it up every now and then, but I want to get that experience of having a bigger screen because, as you know, I restrict myself to Apple because, well, I guess you could call me a fanboy. I'm in love with their products, and I really haven't had the experience yet of a big screen. And 5.5 inches is a lot to take on, and I'm looking forward to see where it takes me. So that's pretty much it. You know what to do now. I hope I helped you guys decide on which iPhone you should buy, whether the iPhone 6 or iPhone 6 Plus. Again, both fantastic phones, and whatever the choice is, you're making the right one. You just have to put it in perspective of what will work for you. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave some comments below on your thoughts. Of course, give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. If you would, helps me out a lot. And click the subscribe button below for more iPhone 6 coverage to come. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.